Hey everybody, welcome back for another quick video about the DM3000 lathe. I'm actually going to be turning out some parts on here later today. I have actually been working on the old Sakai lathe the last week, making some parts, well, attempting to make some parts, had some issues, but making some parts for my buddy Corey over at Insane Fabrication. Probably do a video about those next week. They're 3-inch diameter, little hockey puck looking things. I actually didn't think I could handle something that big and girthy, but because I run the ER40 collet on here, it's also what I was running on the Sakai lathe, but I forgot I had a 3-jaw chuck for that Sakai, so I just swapped back out for the 3-jaw chuck, and it actually worked pretty well. What I want to talk about today was a problem I've been having, and part of why I haven't actually been making and selling any joystick knobs for power shears for a little while. When I moved over to this lathe, I had to dial in all the tools. I had to get all the tools. It took a bit of time and effort. And it had, and I'll zoom in on this in a minute. Right here you can see there's a tool holder for holding drill bits. And I only have one of those little blocks that mounts on the turret. There's actually, I have 6 tools on here at a time. Right now I have 3 cutting tools and the 1 turning tool. I'm probably going to mill up a couple more of the blocks to hold drill bits and collet holders, but for now I just want to use the one I need. I need to make 1 1/4-inch hole in the knob bases, and it's got it's a 14 millimeter, if I remember right. I think it's a 14 millimeter through hole through that, and then there's a little what I'll call it, a little bushing, that's a little drill bushing that that steps it down to 1/2 inch. So initially I was like, well, for testing purposes, I happen to have this guy laying around. It's just a little Jacob's chuck that just happened to be, if I can get it to focus on it, just happened to have a 1/2 inch shaft on it. So actually you had to cut that down, and you can see the end's kind of a little ugly there, but cut down the end and put it in. Well, the drill bit just wasn't lining up, and I thought that it was the mount. It's this particular drill chuck has a female thread in it instead of like a Morse taper or Jacob's taper, so there's nothing to really keep it perfectly centered. And I thought, you know what, I don't know who made this shaft, if it was a factory item, if it was something that somebody made in a shop. I think this came from an auction. I don't even really know where I ended up with this drill chuck with this shank. So I blamed that. I assumed that was the problem. So went on eBay and said, I got a bunch of ER collet holders. I'll just get some ER collet chucks. I really wanted an ER20. Couldn't find an ER20 in the US. I wanted it right away. So I ordered an ER20 out of China, and I ordered an ER16 out of the US. Well, here's the ER16 I received. It looks nice. A little too long. I can cut it down. Not a big deal. Let me find the marking on here. Everything was good until I opened it up, threw out all the packaging, and then tried to slide in the tool holder. It was all sloppy. I mean, I know I checked. I know that's a 1/2 inch diameter hole. See if you guys can see the marking on this. Sometimes getting the autofocus to focus on what I want it to autofocus on is a challenge. Well, anyway, you can believe me on this. So I ordered this from a guy up in, I think he was in Connecticut. It came with some collets. Going $79 for the collet holder and 12 ER16 collets. It's not a bad price. Okay, I'll have it in a few days. Shouldn't be a big deal. Well, the next day the guy emails me and says, oh, well, we actually only sell those in sets of 9 collets, so I can either refund all your money and not ship it, or I can refund you, I think, $12, and you can, I'll just send you the 9 collets and the collet holder. And I was like, yeah, you know what, I just need a few extra collets anyway, so that's why I wanted that set. Yeah, go ahead and just send it to me and give me back the $12. So now I'm down to $67 I have into this thing. So then I receive it, open it all up, and I measure. Well, I'll be damned if the shank isn't 12 millimeter. 12 millimeter is not 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch is 12.7 millimeters. So I received the thing and it's not going to work for what I need it for. So I emailed him the guy, hit him up on eBay, and I said, hey, you know, your item's not as described. And so again, he says, you can send it back and I'll give you all your money back. And I was like, I already threw out all the packaging. Like, can we work something out? Like, I'll find another use for it eventually. He said, yeah, I'll give you another 25 bucks. Well, long story short, week and a half of squabbling back and forth on eBay. He finally actually gave me the money, but refuses to change his eBay listing. He still insists that there's a 1/2 inch shank that, quote, 12 millimeters is basically a 1/2 inch. Just watch out what you're buying, people. Trust but verify. I learned a lesson on it, and I wish I could get the marking to show on here. Maybe I'll show you a picture of this or something. Actually, you know what? I'll put a link below to the actual item on eBay, so if you all want to go look at what he has listed improperly. So the collar holder on it, it's stamped C12-ER16 blah blah blah. Well, the one from China that I now have on here, the ER20 holder, it says C1/2. Well, quick glance on eBay, C12 and C1/2 look to be the same thing. Well, C12 is 12 millimeter. C1/2 is 1/2 inch. So lesson learned. I still have the collar holder. The guy ended up giving me back another 25 bucks. So I don't have that much into that, and another 9 collets that didn't hurt to have. But all that said, get this one on, get the ER20 that is the proper 1/2 inch. I cut the collar holder off. I already committed to it, and it's sawed off now. Put it in there, and I run into the same problem. The way the drill bit's lining up with the center line of the part is a little too low. And what I thought it was that it was tipped, that essentially the drill bit was pointing downhill. Not that much. It was a 32nd of an inch off the center. It wasn't that much. I'm saying not that much. It was enough you could visually see it, but you couldn't see whether it was an angle or the whole thing was too low. So yesterday I get out here and I'm trying to figure out what is going on. Why is that not lining up? What am I missing here? And what I thought was that there was a bend in the drill bit. So change it to a drill bit. Nope, not the drill bit. I actually put a long one on there to really accentuate it and see. Same amount out. So then I'm like, okay, it's not tipped. It's not bent. The whole block is just a little too low. So took it apart and thought maybe there's something caught in there, maybe it's not seating right, because machine part on machine part, this should be a tight fit, right? Well, it turns out no. Got looking a little bit closer and it turns out it's not actually a tight fit at all. That block is only held in place by the 4 cap screws holding it down. There's no locating pins, there's nice machine faces, but they actually don't touch each other. Only the flat face that it's bolted onto touches, which is kind of ridiculous. They could have made a precise piece. And what they had done, and actually I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera for a second. I'm going to move the camera over into the lathe so you can see what it is that I was seeing and what I was dealing with. So here's how this little holder is held in place. Now this whole block here was on here when I bought this lathe, and it's got a hole through it. Like I say, it has a piece of like bushing stock in there to adapt it from a 14 millimeter hole to a 1/2 inch hole. These 4 bolts hold it in place. Well, if you look, and I don't know how well it's picked on the camera, the heads of those 4 screws, those 4 sog head cap screws, are not centered up in the holes. They're close, but they're not centered up. You can actually visually see they're not. Well, it turned out they'd actually drilled all of them slightly off the center line of the hole that holds the, in this case, the collar holder in place. So the entire block was being held up a 32nd of an inch too high. So I popped it off, hit it with a file, brought it down, adjusted it in, and then using a couple chamfer tools here, I made it, I played around with it until I got the points exactly aligned, both with the chamfer tool in tight like it is now on the collar holder, as well as when it's slid all the way out, so I know there's also no tip in this. And I say no. Now I'm not trying to do aerospace precision here. I'm just trying to make a joystick knob that will slide over a shaft. It needs to be just a smidge above 1/4 of an inch, so it will actually slide on and off easily and the set screws hold it in place. It doesn't have to be, to the 100,000th of an inch or anything. Close enough is close enough for what I'm doing right now, but I might build some more precise stuff later, so I want to be able to dial all this in. It was evidence to me. This thing, I believe, is from 1983. So since 1983, nobody has taken the time to actually file out those holes just a little bit to be able to actually drill a hole in the center of a piece that they're turning. It just seems insane to me that nobody's taking that time. So I just want to point out, like, check, double check, triple check. I'm learning to check all my machines for backlash more frequently. Throw my optical tachometer on the spindles on things to make sure they're spinning the correct RPMs. Just realizing that you can't just trust, you have to verify. And so with that said, I'm gonna do a quick tool change and run it in so you can see that the points do in fact line up. And then I'll call this video an end. Next week I should have some stuff either on those parts I'm building for Insane or some joystick knobs. By the 1st of April I plan to have joystick knobs back available on the website. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and do a quick tool change and show you that the points do line up now.